Hey, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas with you, hopping back on because, as expected and almost right on cue here, we have a nasty weather situation unfolding with multiple warnings and at least one tornado in progress. So, we're going to get right to it. Right outside of Shreveport. So if you're watching from Shreveport, you see the purple icon there, the purple polygon. When it turns purple, that means that we have a confirmed tornado, that we have this thing actually on the ground. So again, this is going to be that threat higher than even just a plain and simple tornado warning. We have that ground confirmation here. Real quick, before we get even further into it, I just want to get a tracker on this for you to give you some heads up where we are going to watch this thing move. Again, it has that look. We're going to break it down in just a second here to get into the nitty gritty. If this is going to work for me, stand by, please. There we go. This is going to be heading up in your direction. So again, coming up in the next little bit, this is heading towards Greenwood, Louisiana, again on its way almost to the radar site in Shreveport. You see that right here. I will pull out to kind of show you some other towns in the way. This is ugly here. This is right on the Texas-Louisiana border. I'll pull out the telestration for you. Right here is the border. Greenwood, we are right in the path. Shreveport up in the right-hand corner of your screen. We are also in the path of this. Again, it has that look. It's starting to get potentially a debris ball again. This thing is on the ground. It is reported on the ground anyway. We are going to get a little bit further in there. And yeah, this is a no doubter. And of course, this has already been reported being on the ground. Just checking the comments here, checking to see some other people that are out in that area. Some extra information here. Yeah, there's a confirmed large and dangerous tornado just southwest of Greenwood, Louisiana. This is going to be moving northeast at about 45 miles an hour. So again, we're certainly in the environment for this to happen. If you are in this area, you're going to make sure that you are in your safe place because already right off the bat here, we are seeing a large and extremely dangerous tornado here. The threat listed from the National Weather Service as considerable. So this is the time now to get in your safe place as this is moving pretty much right towards us in Greenwood. That puts it there at about 5:40 Central Time, or 4:40 Central Time, excuse me. This is something that you want to be in your safe place for right now. You don't want to wait to go out and see this. Again, right off the bat, we're coming at you live here with a very serious weather situation. I'm going to change over to another product here. This is correlation coefficient. I'll explain what that is once this threat goes down, but basically it is the tornado seeing the debris being lofted in the sky. When you see that drop out there, that is where we are looking at the likelihood. Well, not even likelihood. There is a tornado on the ground, and it is a big one, and it's heading right toward Greenwood, Louisiana. Here is the Shreveport radar site. Downtown Shreveport is up at the top of your screen as it's moving southwest to northeast. Again, if you are just joining us, we have a large and extremely dangerous tornado on the ground. This is reported now from sources on the ground. Again, and radar technology these days, it allows you to confirm the tornado even without ground truth. We have ground truth, and we also have, again, the radar showing us that this is, in fact, debris being lofted up by this tornado. And this is heading in the direction of Greenwood, Louisiana. So if you're watching from Greenwood, if you know of anybody in Greenwood, in Shreveport, this is the time to take cover. Yes. Hey, Ethan, what's going on, my man? This is confirmed. This is on the ground. This has been sighted. Tornado in progress here. And where you see, I can highlight this again because this tells the story. Then I'll show you the actual radar picture. Again, here for reference, this is not good if you are, again, are watching from Greenwood. Safe place now. Shreveport, safe place now. These things are racing. But where you see that blue and green color right in here, that's the radar actually seeing the debris. All of this junk out here is the rain where it is highly correlated, as we call it, where you see the darker reds and purples. But when that dropout of that color happens, it's the radar seeing something other than a meteorological target. So this thing is on the ground, reported from people out there. And also, we can confirm it here where you see this radar box have that purple color. When it turns purple like that, that means that it is actually confirmed. At least that's how we have the setting here. Moving to the northeast now at 45 miles an hour. And again, we've already have confirmed that it is on the ground. Just looking at some of the other, some outlets here. Some people on the ground anyway, to get ground truth to see what they are seeing. Again, if you know of anybody or even don't know of anybody, share this stream with them. Again, this is a large and destructive tornado already. I'm going to turn off that. We're going to go back to the regular reflectivity. We have other tornado warnings, and this was the fear that we would get into that outbreak situation like what we saw about 2 weeks ago in Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Alabama. But this is now, to go a step further, this is what we call a debris ball. You're not supposed to see that lavender color down in here. Again, now we're not just talking about maybe the radar or maybe the tornado lofting up dust. There are some big things being lofted up by this tornado. So again, we are just waiting to see here if get on some maybe chasers on the ground to see exactly what they are seeing. But again, confirmed a large and dangerous tornado right along the Texas-Alabama border. We're going to get real close here. See what we can determine. I have to turn off the other radar here. Okay, for reference, I'm going to zoom this back out, and this is going to be interesting to see because and that's not a good scan. We get a new scan every 5 minutes. We have the rapid scan going, the Weather Service does, where they can change how fast we get this radar data. And look at this. Again, this is not good. There is the debris ball. This is heading right for Greenwood, Louisiana. If you know of anybody living in Shreveport, in Greenwood, again, the environment is primed for these long track, strong tornadoes. So again, there is a very high probability that this does make it close to Shreveport. Of course, we all know tornadoes can drop and lift and all that jazz. But this is a very healthy supercell. It is breathing. It is, we already have again, the confirmation. It is the lone supercell out of the bunch, meaning that it's not competing with any other storm right now for the good juice in the environment. So this is one of those storms that can last for a very, very long time. As we move into the afternoon and evening, we also have other tornado warnings in play. This is going to be now down by Timpson. We have that supercell thunderstorm look. It is a supercell. And then as we move down to near Huntington, we have a tornado warning as well. So there are several tornado warnings in play, plus the strongest one of them all. And again, this is right along the Texas-Louisiana border. If you are just joining us, first of all, welcome to the live stream. Sam Alley, good to talk to you again. Thanks for tuning in. But this is, again, a really ugly situation. Let me pull out the telestration again, and I will highlight. Here is I-20, of course, right up in here. That is way too thick. This is the Texas-Louisiana border. I'll pull back out again because of the main concern right now is going to be the town of Greenwood, and this is right along I-20. If you know anybody that might be out on I-20 near the Texas-Louisiana border, give them a call. I know that's a stretch, but there might be somebody on here that knows somebody in this area, maybe a truck driver, maybe if you know of anybody vacationing down into Louisiana or Texas or anything like that, give them a call. This is a serious situation. It's about as serious as it gets in the weather world when you have a confirmed large and destructive tornado on the ground moving toward a population center. And again, we have, I'll show you when things quiet down for a second here. I'll go over where we're under the watch, but just know that everybody in Louisiana is under the gun. In East Texas, of course, where we currently have those nasty thunderstorms, we are under the gun right now. If you are just joining us, let me know where you are watching from this evening. Again, we've got you covered as this event unfolds, and unfortunately, right off the bat, like clockwork, we have a confirmed tornado on the ground. So now you saw what happened here in real time. That warning extended, that purple. So the National Weather Service just extended this to include Shreveport, Louisiana. So bells and whistles are going off. Hopefully the people down here, and if you're watching from Shreveport, that you are getting the warnings that were just issued. But again, this is a situation where you don't want to go outside to try to look at this thing. You don't want to you want to get in your safe place right now, even though it is a good deal away from Shreveport at this time. Hey, Paul, good to talk to you again. Sun just came out in Arkansas. The rain has stopped, and I believe your severe weather threat is over. This is now going to be towards the southern part of Arkansas and then specifically into East Texas and Oklahoma. You see all the other warnings. I'm going to get into those in a second. Of most concern, no doubt, is this extremely large and extremely dangerous tornado, and it's moving very, very quickly. We can look at the specs here. It is moving at 45 miles an hour. Again, it is still being observed, and the damage threat, again, is considerable. As you might imagine, that's a tag that the Weather Service uses to kind of give a heightened sense of awareness. We can all see that, though, right now. I'm going to go back into some of the radar tools. And again, there is where we are looking at. Again, the green color here represents where the wind is being, I don't know why that keeps changing, where the wind is going toward the radar. The red color here is the wind going away from the radar. That is your tornado vortex signature, as we call it. Another product here that we use, and again, we can use this product. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of color on here, but I'm going to point this out with the telestration. We call this correlation coefficient. It sees what is highly correlated in the atmosphere, but you see that blue color right in here, and I will zoom in a little further. This is the radar actually, unfortunately, seeing the debris. So now it's going to be back here because I zoomed in. So this is the debris that is being lofted up by the tornado. And again, this is heading right toward Greenwood. So I can't stress it enough. If you know anybody that is living or visiting around I-20 on the Texas-Louisiana border, please call them. Please let them know. It is my hope that they have been paying attention to this over the past couple of days, because unfortunately this outbreak of thunderstorms and tornadoes has been well forecast, and that event is unfolding as we speak with, again, right off the bat, several tornado warnings and one already on the ground. That is why we have this purple color here. Every now and then I'm going to look over. I have what we meteorologists use is the National Weather Service chat room. It's a chat room of emergency managers, storm chasers, ham radio operators, and then, of course, the National Weather Service meteorologist and then the local news meteorologist as well. And they kind of share what they're seeing out there, either from a forecasting standpoint or from storm reports out in the field from trained spotters or those emergency managers out there. So every now and then I'm going to glance over to my other computer here to kind of see if there are any reports coming in, and we'll see the storm reports here pop up on the screen as they happen. I have that, our little radar site here programmed to do that. Eddie, good to see you, my man. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, some ugly stuff going on. So the people of, certainly we're thinking about you guys. All right, so there's been another scan here. There's been a change. There's a little bit of blue popping up everywhere. Let's go see what is going on here. So the tornado now, if it is still on the ground, and I'm trying to see if we have anybody on that, any storm chaser on that tornado. It looks like, and this is something that often happens. So we call these cyclic supercells, where they'll be raging, and then all of a sudden some cooler air will push out ahead of it, and then it'll recycle again into potentially something stronger than there was before. And that is what we're going to watch to see if that's funny you say that. That is funny you say that. Yeah, no, we'll see what happens. We've kind of lost that little look. It's probably not going to be for long. We will have to see. I mean, this is what you want to see if it's going near a town. Maybe it chokes itself out for a little bit, and then it will come back down, hopefully after it passes the population center. We will see. This is going to get really interesting here because we have the radar site really, really close. So we are going to get some good data. There's where the radar is. And I mean, we're shooting up into it. Does not look like it's going to impact the radar system. But the town of Wascom, right on the Texas-Louisiana border, likely getting some very heavy hail right now. We're going to go back and we're going to take a look at the velocity, and looking right over, pretty much passing I-20. The good news is we've lost the debris signature, so maybe that's exactly what is happening. That we've had some of that occlusion occur, some of that colder air rush in behind the system, and then hopefully kind of choke it out. I wish forever, but it's probably going to recycle. Again, we call that a cyclic supercell. And that's something, of course, that the environment would support that. And the environment would support that, unfortunately. So I'm going to zoom out and show you here the wide scale. And we've got tornado warnings now everywhere. I'm going to zoom back out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 tornado warnings that are active. And, of course, one of those has the observed tag on it. If you are just joining the live stream, welcome. Please post in the comments where you are watching from. And, again, if you're new here, and if you know anybody in Louisiana and East Texas, let them know what is going on, because there is just, the weather is really, really active. Of course, we have 4 active tornado warnings right now. Just checking the chat. All right, so it looks like we've got somebody watching from Pasadena, Texas. Welcome. Right now, we are okay. That's east of Houston, correct? So we are good right now, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it's east of Houston, or at least right around Houston, Pasadena, right closer to right out in here. And if that is correct, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, we have one severe thunderstorm warning just to your north, but by and large, the threat is going to be to your north and east. So keep a close eye, but again, I do think, okay, yes, south. Okay, perfect. Okay, just wanted to make sure that I had my geography right. So we are nice and quiet right now, south and east of Houston. There could be a couple of strong thunderstorms popping up later on this evening. But the biggest threat is going to be to your north and east. Yeah, that's a good thing, especially last night. The blizzard is raging, and when things quiet down, we can go take a look at, and I don't know if they will quiet down, but we can look at the blizzard side of this. I-90 is close to a lot of South Dakota right now because it's just the wind is too strong, and just visibility is too poor. I mean, it is a straight up blizzard, and we were talking about that the other day. I'm going to go back in and check on our confirmed tornado. This obviously looks ugly. And if it is still, in fact, on the ground, and it does look like we're trying to get that little nub, that tornado vortex signature again, and that means it's trying to tighten up. Now, the issue is here, it's going to be hard to really determine. We are really, really close to the radar site, so we need to be in that sweet spot. Once it's too close to the radar, things become a little hard to see because then the beam is shooting up. Or if it's too far away, then we're missing it on the other side. So we're going to have to see, but there is our... It will show up. It looks like we've lost the debris signature there. So I'm hoping that is going to be the case, and we're hoping this stays down. Just looking through some storm reports, seeing if we're getting anything. Again, the good news is I'm not seeing the debris signature anymore. It does not mean that it is lifted completely, but some radar suggestion would also go into that. Tornado warning now canceled for the Texas side of this. It has now moved out of Texas. It is completely into Louisiana at this point. And it is going to continue to work in this direction. What I'm going to do now is, and you see this here, okay, so it's going to be very, very hard to determine what is actually going on because it's so close to the radar site. So we're just going to have to go on ground truth. Again, it still obviously has that look. It has that supercell look. It's still a very dangerous tornado moving towards Shreveport. Again, we are in that tornado warning for Shreveport until... I mean, these things are moving also very, very quickly. So this is going to go until 4:30 Central Time. It's 4:30 local time in Shreveport. Blanchard, we are included in that as well. For you, again, we're watching it closely. Nope, that's not the one that I wanted. It is moving off to the north and east at 45 miles an hour. So this is, again, it has crossed I-20 already. And it's moving in that general area towards the 220-49 split. That's going to be on the north side of Shreveport. Now, there's a lot of rain on the southern side. These things have the tendency to kind of turn down this way more when it does start to get a little rain-wrapped. It looks like it's dry on this side where it's kind of pulling in all the juice from the atmosphere. But, so everybody, again, from Greenwood to Shreveport, even Eastwood, we're not included in that warning just yet. it likely will be extended again. This is one of those beefy thunderstorms that can cycle, recycle. And I mean, look at this, back to the west. We're not even in a tornado warning yet. With this supercell here, pull the telestration back out, but we already have that supercell look. So I would imagine that we are going to get warned on that one very quick. Next warning here, again, this one is not confirmed, so to speak, but again, this is a really nasty one as well. So Longstreet in Louisiana, we need to be watching out for this one. This is just to the east of us in Gary, Texas. I'm going to slowly zoom back out again. Ethan, sorry for, do you think there could be, I think if there is going to be an enhanced risk for Florida, it's probably going to be towards the Big Bend and the Panhandle. It loses a little bit of juice closer to Central Florida. So if they're gonna issue that or outlook part of Florida in that part, I think it's going to be mainly Northwest Florida, Panhandle, maybe Southern Georgia, maybe into Jacksonville as well, where I do think we can crank out some tornadoes Thursday morning into the early afternoon. And then Central Florida for us will be up later on in the day and then through the evening. From this same system, again, I don't think we're talking about an outbreak per se in Central Florida. More of a chance for a few tornadoes in the Panhandle. And then tomorrow afternoon and evening again in Mississippi, Eastern Louisiana, Western Alabama, we are going to be up, unfortunately, for the potential for tornadoes there. So we are going to be watching that very, very closely. All right, so while we are waiting to see if we can get some better radar data in, because it is so close to the radar site that confirmed tornado, just looking to see if we do have any storm chasers on this where we can pull in some data. Yeah, there's 140,000 people that live in this polygon, so we are really, really hoping that this thing has lifted. Again, we're probably not going to be able to get a good radar scan until it gets a little bit beyond Shreveport. Let's see, base. I mean, there is some very, very strong winds in this area. About 45 mile per hour outbound, 24 mile per hour inbound. It's not too bad. Still, doesn't matter about what the wind actually is there. It's because there's a tornado on the ground or a tornado in progress. Hey, Timothy, good to have you on board. Yeah, it's crazy. Nasty, nasty storm here. We'll get you back to the reflectivity, and this is why that PDS tornado warning is in play. For those that don't know, a PDS tornado warning stands for particularly dangerous situation. These are issued when we have a confirmed tornado on the ground going towards a population. Also, it could be a tornado emergency. That tag is also used a lot. So that is something that we are going to be watching very, very closely as this moves towards Shreveport. Again, this is on a beeline for Shreveport. Just trying to look for some more information if we do have any storm chasers out there. Kind of showing what they are seeing. So every now and then you'll see me glance over here. While I'm doing that, please post where you guys are watching from. I would love to know where you're tuning in from. If you like tracking the weather or like staying on top of the weather, that's what we do in this weather community. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up. We would love to have you on board here, as unfortunately we're tracking a nasty and ugly night of weather. This is what we don't like about this. And again, we have, this storm, we've been advertising this for about a week or so, that it was going to be extremely dynamic. Again, the blizzard portion of this is extremely destructive. We've had wind gusts pushing 60 miles an hour in Nebraska. And again, I'm going to try to get up there to show you that as well if you're tuning in from the northern plains or parts of the upper Midwest where we do have that blizzard ongoing. But we have a very life-threatening situation, of course, right here with a confirmed or observed tornado. You got it, my man. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Yeah, and so that's the thing, too. I was talking to somebody earlier when we went live that the best environment, and I'm using best as a term for the tornado. Like, whenever I say best environment, it's for the tornado. That's what we don't want. We don't want the environment to be the best or good or all that stuff. But certainly the further south into Louisiana, that's where we have the more primed environment for those tornadoes to be withheld or to maintain themselves. I'm going to turn on a few different things here and to kind of show you that. What I just turned on here is basically the available energy for the storms to use. And where you see the blue colors and the green, there's not much. It's kind of been, relatively speaking, cool. It's been rainy. It's been cloudy. So we don't have a ton of juice in the atmosphere. But it's, again, it has that supercell composite. This has a history of producing a large and destructive tornado. But look down here. Again, this is where we're going to be really concerned getting into tonight. This is what we call CAPE, or convective available potential energy. It's basically the fuel that these thunderstorms use. It's just one of the components of severe weather. You need to have a lot of wind shear to get storms to spin, and unfortunately, that is the given. We have a ton of that, and that's why this particular event was so well forecast, because this storm is just so dynamic as a whole from north to south, really encompassing most of the country. But there are several different tornado warnings up. All right, looking at the chat, looking at some other things here. Bear with me. I'm trying to get back into chat to see who we may have near this storm. And to look for more details on what's going. We had ground truth here of the one in purple. For just your reference, if you ever watch my page anyway, I have it set for when there is a confirmed tornado. Again, there's a couple of levels here, and as our friend pointed out just a little bit ago, we have that PDS tornado warning because it's a particularly dangerous situation. You have this confirmed tornado heading towards a population into Shreveport. I will try to get to that in just a little bit. With the new people turning on, tuning in. First of all, thank you. We're in a nasty weather situation here. Unfortunately, this was well forecast, and fortunately, it was well forecast. It's unfortunate that we are tracking these tornadoes, but it's my hope that at least people took these seriously and have a way and have been getting their warnings, as this was so well forecast, really going back into last week. Again, this is where we have the most critical thing going on right now, a confirmed tornado getting into the north side of Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm going to look at this again, and again, we have it coming back. So this is the one thing that we were fearful of, that, it's never a good, when we lose that signature on radar, they can always pop back very quickly. And what we thought was happened, where we had some cooler air rush out, kind of choke up the circulation a little bit, but it now looks like we are getting that back. Let's check to see if we have if the debris signature is back. And it's kind of hard to tell because there's a lot of noise because it's so close to the radar site. I'm going to kind of circle. That's where the tornado would be, just to kind of highlight. There's a lot of noise on that. So we might have that. Yeah, I think we have the debris signature back on this thing, meaning that it has, unfortunately, if it ever did leave the ground, it's back on the ground. unfortunately. I'm going to zoom out to kind of show you. I'm going to turn the regular radar back on. That is the velocity mode. Again, Shreveport, we are, at least downtown Shreveport, we are now been moved out of the tornado warning. And it has also gone back to radar indicated. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has lifted the ground. We've lost the ground confirmation. And as we were just talking about, we likely lost the debris. It looked like it was showing back up again, but that might have just been some noise from the radar. So maybe some slightly positive news. Again, if you are in and around Shreveport, especially on the north side of Shreveport, you want to be in your safe place. Right now, again, that's interior room. You want to make sure you're covering your head, bike helmet, mattress, blankets, anything. That's where we get most of, unfortunately, the fatalities or serious injury. It's the head injuries from flying debris, not necessarily, again, getting sucked up by the tornado, so to speak. That's what a lot of people think. So we just want to make sure that we're protecting our heads, again, in this area. And again, I would love to know where you're tuning in from this evening. Thanks a lot, Ethan. Sorry I couldn't check in on the blizzard for you. But we'll try to get back at that a little bit later, or, we'll keep you posted on future videos. But unfortunately, we have this life-threatening situation going on that we really couldn't get down into looking at that. If you are finding us for the first time, we are tracking the weather, of course. We are a weather channel, and I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, by the way. Welcome. And we have a nasty severe weather outbreak on our hands with several tornado warnings. The good news is, and I say good news loosely, is that we don't have that observed tornado tag anymore. The environment north of Shreveport is not as juicy as what it is south of Shreveport, right along the Texas-Louisiana border, and then certainly in south-central Louisiana. That's where the prime environment is. That's where that enhanced risk was kind of drawn out by the Storm Prediction Center. But nonetheless, we are going to be tracking that. So let me try to put these are moving to the north and east at about 43 miles an hour. And all of these here are in Eastern time. So we're going to obviously subtract an hour. So Kichi in about 4:43, this is going to be on your doorstep. And then Stonewall at about 4:50. So if you know anybody that's living in those two cities, as I kind of call them out here, make sure they know about it. Share this stream with them. Again, now is a good time if you know of anybody in this area, or if you're living in this area, to keep the phones charged in case you do lose power, so you can stay up to critical weather information and news information from your local news. That's going to be your best bet to get that here. We're going to go down towards Interstate 49. We're going to zoom. This is just there's a tornado warning here, but there's just a lot of hodgepodge. I don't see anything too concerning there in that mess. Back further to the west, we have a couple of extra tornado warnings. You see this little spin here. That means it has detected a mesocyclone here. That's the parent rotation. So a lot of times when we're looking at velocity and we're seeing the spin in the storm, we're looking at the mesocyclone. A lot of times you see those crazy videos in the planes of what looks like a UFO is about to land or something. That is the mesocyclone. That is the area of low pressure, the spin in the center of that storm there, and then eventually that's where the tornado kind of comes down from. You see right there in real time that tornado warning extended here. This is going to go until about 5 o'clock. That includes Huxley. For perspective, here is I-49. I'll put a tracker on that. And again, they're moving to the north and east at about 45 miles an hour. And that's the other thing, again, if you're just joining us, that I want to talk about is that these things are moving very, very quickly. So you're not going to have much time to react. So again, in I lost the marker. In Huxley. This is going to be right on your doorstep at about 4:55 your time. Okay, so now is a great time to get into your safe place. You might be waiting for a little bit, but you have some time now to kind of grab some things really quick and then get into your safe place. Interior room, away from windows, cover your head, things like that. Now is the time to go do that in Huxley. Again, right over the Texas-Louisiana border on the Texas side. Again, all of this junk out here kind of just looks like junk. I'm going to... Yeah, it doesn't look like too much. It looks like it's all kind of linear and just kind of discombobulated. So that I don't think that threat right there, at the moment anyway, is that high. Let me change radar sites here. Yet I'm not seeing too much as we go there. So we have a lot of the new people on the stream. Welcome. Again, we are tracking this potential tornado outbreak. And again, we've already seen one touchdown. We've had a couple this morning in Texas and Oklahoma. We had already one confirmed tornado being reported in northeast Texas. That has since lifted, and that threat is lowering as you move north of Shreveport. Look at this guy back here. This is the one I think that we were looking at that didn't have a warning on it, and we said that it was likely going to be very, very soon that we get this warning. I'm going to get that level 2 radar back, the high definition radar. And yeah, so we mentioned about the environment being better. Better, again, a bad term for tornadoes south of Shreveport. So this one is going to get ugly real quick. If it hasn't already, it has that look. We have that supercell thunderstorm. So Stonewall in Louisiana, heads up here. Kichi, we were just talking about this for you. I'll put another tracker on here for you. We're going to take it right up into Stonewall. Again, these things are booking. So really, in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I need to zoom back out of the screen to kind of give a better look because they're moving so fast. They're about 45 miles an hour. So now, if you know anybody that lives around I-49 in Stonewall, Louisiana, north of Mansfield, give them a call. Give them a quick call. Alert them on this. And again, it is my hope that they know what's going on, but a lot of times people say these came out of nowhere. Again, there's a lot going on. We're approaching Christmas. People are busy and may not be paying close attention to the weather, what is to come. But a very nasty looking supercell here. I'm going to turn on the velocity mode, and I'm going to turn on... Okay, so we might have the makings of a tornado debris signature. I'm going to turn the telestration on, get that marker off, but right in here... And then we're going to do some inspecting in real time with you. And then we'll turn that back on. Yeah, so it looks like we might have a tornado on the ground here southwest of Kichi. It's in the right spot where we just did that inspecting. And it has that look as well. I'm going to check to see if we have anybody in that area where we can check in with. And I'm not seeing any ground truth reports, but again, we have a ugly, ugly situation here unfolding southwest of Kichi, southwest of Stonewall, Louisiana. I'm going to turn on the regular reflectivity. And again, anyone that knows severe weather knows that we have a textbook supercell thunderstorm. South of Shreveport was the better environment. Again, better for the storm, worse for people. But we're getting that look here. Looks like we might see this upgraded to tornado observed. Right now, the Weather Service still has radar indicated, but it really looks like we have a debris signature just to the west of Longstreet, Louisiana. And I don't know if anybody is in this area. that is being impacted by this particular storm, please post that in the comments. I know there were a few people that were watching earlier that were from Mississippi and Louisiana. So if you're back on, first of all, welcome. And second of all, I hope you're staying safe. I guess reverse those. I want you to stay safe before, but you know where I'm getting at here. And then we have this one again. Right now, all of the nastiest stuff is on the Texas side. We still have this guy north of Shreveport. And it is still, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as impressive, thankfully, as it was before. But nonetheless, that tornado warning does continue for areas on the north side of Shreveport. And again, every now and then I'm just going to look towards some of the other services, the chat services I have, some other inspection tools here, just to kind of make sure I'm giving you the best information that I can as we are tracking this severe weather thing. Yeah, I'm sure this looks ugly. All right, let's go back to the velocity mode. Yeah, we're range folding there. Yeah, I think so. Hook. I think we have some. Unless they have a chaser on that, that is an ugly storm. I keep on using the word ugly. I don't like this. Well, I'm checking some things out. Again, I'm just looking for see if there are any storm chasers on this, giving some real-time reports. Post in the comments where you're watching from. If you are new to the channel, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, and we track the weather together here. So if you like tracking the weather or just want to stay informed, we'd love to have you on board. You can hit the thumbs up button. It does help to get this out to more people, so to give them some advance warning here. And we'd love to have you on board as we track the weather together. You can hit that subscribe button as well. I will say tomorrow the severe threat again is sky high in places for Mississippi, eastern Louisiana, and then into the Florida Panhandle. So this is going to continue to work its way to the east over the next few days. Checking up on the chat, make sure everybody's good. All right. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So I was just checking up on the National Weather Service chat. I was talking to you guys about this before. It does not look like we have that tornado on the ground anymore north of Shreveport. And again, I mean, we were literally just talking about the environment north of Shreveport is not the greatest to maintain tornadoes. This certainly still looks nasty. There's still a nasty thunderstorm with this storm, or with this cell. But the good news is that we are not seeing that tornado warning has been allowed to expire. Different story, though, down here, closer to Stonewall, Long Street. We have this guy. This is going to be southwest of Shreveport on the Texas side. Yeah, so if you're watching anywhere from Grant, Wynne, LaSalle, Parish region, let me know about that. That's where our tornado threat's really going to ramp up over the next few hours. So again, that is going to be in the Grant, Wynne, LaSalle Parish, south and east of Shreveport. Okay, so I want you to know that. That's kind of an early heads up. Okay, so this came in here, that tornado that we were looking at, storm report from a storm chaser that damage at Old Town Road north of DeBerry. Large outbuilding was damaged there, and several trees are shredded. The fire department is clearing trees off of 451 just east of Old Town. That was in Texas again. Likely, there it is. There's the report that just popped up. So that is the one that we were on before. So again, obviously we knew, and that's where we had the debris signature. So again, it's a very sobering thing. We were literally looking at that debris on radar. We were looking at that debris from that tornado on radar. So it's crazy. Again, it's the most sobering thing that you can see when it's just helpless and you see what it's doing. Hey, Northeast PA, you're going to have to watch out for some snow there coming your way on Thursday, Friday, and into early Saturday. I'm going to have an update on that in one of my next videos if you would like to subscribe. We'll check in on Helena, Alabama. The threat for severe weather for Alabama ramps up tomorrow. That is when we'll likely see that threat ramp up. Tonight, it's going to be more of Louisiana into East Texas and then western Mississippi. So that's where we are going to be focused on, at least for the next couple of hours in the short term. Into Alabama, it's going to zoom out. And it's going to be, again, the southern half of the state where we do have the best ingredients coming together for that. I will show you the day 2 risk from the Storm Prediction Center. So I'm just going to zoom out here to kind of show you where the risk shifts tomorrow. So I don't want to call it good news is there's certainly a chance for severe weather for your family in Helena tomorrow. What we're looking at here is the Storm Prediction Center risk area. And the enhanced area here, that orange color, that's where we are going to have the greatest potential. Right around Jackson, down to Lafayette, Louisiana, through New Orleans, to the panhandle of Florida, and then southwest of Montgomery. Helena, I think, is about right in here, give or take. So we're in that marginal risk. Again, that marginal means that we have a little bit of the ingredients. We don't have everything, but certainly something is still possible. But the most destructive weather tomorrow in that area is going to be south of Birmingham. That's another way to put it. I like that. Yeah, we'll keep it clean. And we'll keep on saying nasty. All right, so we're going to get back down now to a couple of these very nasty. Again, Shreveport, we just had to deal with a tornado warning north of town. Now south of town, we are going to do that. Awesome. We'll keep you posted on that. I'm glad you are prepared. And, of course, we'll keep you updated tomorrow as well for your family in Helena. Because a lot can shift. I do think it's going to be south of Birmingham where we have the worst, but certainly you can have those rogue thunderstorms like some we had earlier this morning in spots. So again, make sure that they are paying close attention. I know they are. I know you're prepared. I know you've got them covered. So we'll keep a close eye and we'll be back on here kind of tracking this. Right now, the main threat is in western Louisiana, extreme east Texas, I-49 here for reference. I'm going to get back to some of my radar tools. We're going to take a look at the velocity, and there's a lot going on here. So here we go. We have that cell popping up. Stonewall, you're up at about 4:57. And again, all the time here is Eastern time. That's where I'm based. So we're subtracting an hour for you obviously, so you can prepare. I want you in your safe place now in Stonewall. Red chute, 5:32. That's the ETA of this thing. But these things are moving very, very quickly. Eastwood, safe place right now as well. ETA at about 5:34 Central Time, local time here, where we are looking for. As these drift north, the environment becomes a little less conducive. One of the things that we were talking about, though, was the likelihood that even if we were lacking on some of the instability, which we are, it's not November, it's not April, but very dynamic storm that can kind of just lift up these thunderstorms individually from the south. And that's what we are seeing here, even though, so they're overcoming the lack of instability. I do like this. This is I like to call blobbing out. We just have like a blob of red over here. Some heavy rain for sure in around Jonesboro, Winfield, Colfax, west of Alexandria. But we don't have anything spinning, and it's hard to get them to spin when they're in a nice big mess like this. So that's what I like to see. I like to see it in a mess rather than, obviously, like what we have here, these individual discrete cells. When they are isolated like this, away from everything else, they can take advantage of that environment, the juice, if you will, and they're not competing against other cells for that environment and for the good dynamics. So that's why we're concerned about this one. Again, as it moves over Highway 49, it's likely going to get into a worse environment for the system to maintain itself, but we're going to keep a close eye anyway. So we have a lot of new people that are just joining the stream. Welcome. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and we track the weather together here. If you like the weather or just want to stay informed, we would love to have you on board. If you hit that subscribe button, we would love to have you. And if you hit the like button, or the thumbs up, I guess it's called, that will help to get this video out to more people so that they can be informed if they are in harm's way. 454 into Huxley, 518 in South Mansfield. That's where we have our next up on these southern tornado warnings. We have two cells here. We're going to change the radar perspective. There we go, very bright. But to kind of take all this stuff here, we're going to illustrate that. I know there are a lot of crazy colors on this thing, but there's where we have some spin. We have another one down here, tornado vortex signature. And unfortunately, these two are kind of going over the same thing. So if you are watching from Huxley, you're going to go through a nasty part of the storm, and then right on the heels of that, there could be another tornado warned storm coming right on through. So listen closely. If I have anybody from that area, again, we'll let you know when you are all clear. Again, the all clear, in my opinion, is just as important as the alerting that there is some nasty and ugly weather nearby. But Huxley, we can do this twice in back-to-back situation here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about on the reflectivity side. And if I do have anybody tuning in from the upper Midwest and Northern Plains, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Western Minnesota, Colorado, Montana, let me know. We can go take a look at what's going on up there. Right now, we were focusing on the severe weather outbreak portion of this first because we did have a confirmed tornado on the ground that has since lifted. The threat is still really high, though, especially with this thing. Again, it has that look right there. That is your hook echo. Again, your classic supercell look. Let me turn on another. Oh, yeah. Again, it's just hard to determine if there's actually a debris signature on that. All right, so taking a look into the National Weather Service chat, we have a direct line them. They give us kind of a heads up when they're going to be issuing any kind of warnings. as well. I mean, we can determine if they might do that, but they, of course, are the end-all, be-all in terms of issuing those warnings. But we can give you that analysis prior to that, which we are doing. I'm just looking to see, again, as we get deeper into the evening, we're likely going to see this severe weather threat ramp up even further. That is something that we are going to keep a close eye on. Excuse me, just wanted to get a quick drink real quick before I lose my voice. All right. While I'm just looking up onto the Weather Service chat to kind of give you the best information, if you are just tuning in, welcome. Please post in the comments where you are tuning in from. All right, so this is the guy here that we've been watching. There might be some shenanigans on it. It still kind of has that look. Again, the environment isn't all that great to sustain tornadic development on the Louisiana-Arkansas border, but it's not impossible. So that's why we're going to continue to watch this as well. We're still watching that cell by Stonewall, and we are still watching the cell near St. Augustine in East Texas. We have 3 active tornado warnings now. So while they are moving away from the town, I know we've had a couple of people anyway earlier ask about the blizzard, and here's the blizzard portion of it. So hot in Louisiana. Awesome. Welcome. We're going to, since you are tuning in from Louisiana, we're going to head back down that way then. Because I want to make sure that we are tracking this for you. Just while I am going to switch the radar back down that way. There is the snow. So, I mean, again, incredibly dynamic storm. They're full-on blizzard. I mean, just there's 9 inches there reported. Wind gusts near 60 miles an hour. 8 inches of snow. 7 inches of snow. And, I mean, it's not done yet. 9 inches. 7 inches there. In addition to 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Just insane. Okay. So while we're watching this, this is the cell that I want you to pay attention to in hot Louisiana, Christy. There you are on the map. Let me get the telestration out. I know you know where you are, but it disappeared. Stand by. Got to zoom back in. But just to kind of, if you can't see where it is on the map, it is my hope that we're going to be too far north to be impacted by this, but this cell is moving in that direction. Right now, all is quiet for you, but just keep a close eye, and again, have a way to watch that. Caldwell Paris, hey, Melissa, thank you for tuning in this evening. We're going to take a look at that in a second as well. Riken, good evening. Indiana, you are good. You are just getting kind of an ugly, cold rain out of the deal over the next couple of days. We're going to zoom out real quick to kind of show you the scope again if you are just tuning in. Everybody, welcome to this to the channel here. But yeah, Indiana, we're kind of like right in that middle zone here. And then, Christy, we're going to get back in there to check that close, and I'm going to give you the timeline. But again, we're dry right now. All this stuff coming into Indiana, that is really, really wide. My bad. Let me change. All of that is kind of moving in that direction. So we're just going to have like a cold rain. It's going to get a little windy with it as well, but you should not be dealing with anything destructive. All right. We're going to head back down into Louisiana. Again, this is just getting going here. After these first couple of big cells move through, our severe threat is going to wind down, and then it's going to focus itself kind of east of into central Louisiana. Let me pull my chat back up. I just minimized it there for a second. Just checking in here. All right, so just as we were talking about that, Christy, we're going to get right back into this, and then I'll check out that tornado that we were watching that we thought was on the ground because of radar is now confirmed. So, Christy, if you are still watching here, we do have a confirmed tornado. This is on the ground again. And again, it's heading in your direction. You are not in the warning. So if you do have a way to get your warnings, you did not hear those bells and whistles go off just yet. But there is a tornado on the ground. In Caldwell, we are looking good right now. Your threat's going to be in the next couple of hours. I'll take a closer look at that in a second. But again, my concern now is, okay, awesome. You're still here. So hang out with us if you can. This is going to be the time to watch closely here and then thinking about getting into your safe place. I know all that stuff sounds scary. I hate telling people to do that. But here we are up here where you are. And then we have the storm itself down here. Again, it's moving to the northeast at about 44 miles an hour. The tornado threat is considerable. As you see it there, that's the tag the Weather Service uses. But again, we have a tornado on the ground. Brian, I do think you should be concerned. We're in that enhanced risk for southeast Mississippi tomorrow. Certainly, the further south you are, the higher the threat is going to be. Okay, so we've got some reports. I'm in the Weather Service chat now on this storm. Just trying to make sure. Southwest of Shreveport on 169. That is that one. Reports of the tornado is no longer on the ground, but trees and large branches have been lofted. And 4x8 pieces of plywood were falling out of the sky southwest of Shreveport. So that report is just coming in to the National Weather Service. It does look like it may have lifted for a short time, so it may not be on the ground right now. Let's get in here and inspect that. It's hard to see. There's a lot of I'm just changing some things around. Bear with me. All right. "30 minutes from the coast." Yeah, watch closely tomorrow. While we have an opportunity, and again, our main concern here is there are reports that the tornado has lifted in parts of right just southwest of Shreveport. But as we saw before, these things are cycling tonight. We're in the environment where they can cycle, so they lift for a little bit and then come back down. It certainly does not look very healthy, and that is a good thing. Yeah, and I'm not seeing any of that debris signature either. So, Christy, for the short term anyway, some positive news for you. Keep a close eye on this cell. We're going to be watching it until it completely fizzles out. In this area north of I-20, the environment becomes a lot less conducive, but still not impossible because Cotton Valley, this is the system that produced a very large and destructive tornado in Texas. So this is that same cell we were watching, gosh, about 45 minutes ago as we watched it cross the state line. So if anybody is tuning in from Sarepta, Cotton Valley, we have a new tornado warning until 5:30 Central Time. Let's take a look at that. Not seeing any debris signature. Does not mean that it's on the ground. So there you go. Cotton Valley at about 5:04. So that's in about 10 minutes. And then about 5:40 in Haynesville if this cell were to hold together. So important to note both of those things. Awesome. I appreciate that. We will keep you posted. And again, I'm into the Weather Service chat room. We've got our eyes on that cell. We're not going to leave this cell until the threat passes for you, especially since I know I have somebody watching in that potential risk area and hoping this just falls apart for you. So every now and then, again, I'm going to keep on glancing over. I've got what we call the National Weather Service chat page up. So it's a direct line to the Weather Service that issues these warnings. And there are storm chasers, ham radio operators in there if they're out there and they're reporting what they see so that I can relay that information right to you. That happens in real time. It's almost like that red phone on the president's desk. They can get a hold of anybody at any time. And we did have the report that this tornado that you see all this blinking stuff going on with, did in fact touch down. There was a report of 4x8 pieces of plywood falling out of the sky with this cell. But we also have that report that particular tornado is not on the ground anymore. So there's some negative and there's some positive, but in these kind of situations, again, you never let your guard down until the threat is completely over because we still have that purple color here. That would mean that the tornado is observed. The tornado is in progress. When the difference in color here, you see that the red outline is the indication that we have a tornado warning. The purple means that we do have it confirmed on the ground. All right, so just looking at some of the You got it, Eddie. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. I appreciate you always. All right, so we're kind of in the same situation we were north of Shreveport. Here is the radar site. Here is Shreveport. And it's just hard to get a good gauge on what it is doing in here. But we're going to see if the Weather Service continues its tornado warning for Houghton, where we have Christy tuning in. And again, we're hoping that this thing just kind of fizzles out. Again, the highest tornado threat over the next couple of hours, let me pull out my telestrator, is right in East Texas, just to the southwest of Shreveport, and then down into central Illinois. I'll see if I can, or central Louisiana. I don't know why I just said Illinois. Let's move back out, and I will show you that risk area. So for those just joining us, welcome. I see we have a new flood of people coming in. We are focused right now on western Louisiana and into extreme East Texas. That's where we have the tornado threat. If you're watching from those areas, please let me know, or please let me know wherever you're watching from. I know in the title we're talking about that giant blizzard on the northwest side of this system, but we've had a couple of observed tornadoes that have a history of producing damage, one of which here is still outlined in purple. And when these warnings, at least on my map, go purple, that is where we have the confirmed tornado. So again, we are watching a tornado on the ground. We did have a report that it had lifted, but we are watching that closely. So, and then just as of note here, you never like to see this, just a note on the chat. Another National Weather Service is taking over for Shreveport because they need to take cover. Dallas-Fort Worth is going, the National Weather Service out of Dallas-Fort Worth is going to be taking over operations because there is where the National Weather Service is located, right here where the radar site is. And again, we have that purple. You see all the blinking stuff there. There's where the tornado is there, and it's kind of lifting up in this direction. So they are taking shelter, as they should, and all of that stuff. All right, so the latest updates here, and this is the benefit of us having this chat. Just going to look up where exactly they're talking about, but there's obviously there's a storm chaser on this. There is no tornado on the ground with it just yet, but there is a lot of rotation with this storm. So the mesocyclone, that's the one thing, if you were with us before, we were talking about, it's kind of that UFO looking thing. A lot of those times you see those crazy pictures in the planes of that base kind of spinning like a top. That is the mesocyclone. So that wall cloud is the precursor to tornado development. Sometimes it drops, sometimes it doesn't. But that's something that we are watching. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you again. Yeah, it looks like your threat comes back into Hattiesburg tomorrow. So we are in that enhanced risk for tomorrow. So we're going to be back on here again tomorrow afternoon, hopefully talking about a whole lot of nothing and just being able to hang out with you guys. But unfortunately, the atmosphere is juiced again, and we are watching this. So if you are tuning in or just joining us, please let me know where you are watching from, and I'm going to try to go into your neighborhood and show you. Right now, the most critical scenario we have right now is a tornado that has a history of producing damage. You see this outline in purple. This is just to the south and east of Shreveport. Shreveport on the southeast side, we are included in that warning, and you kind of see it drifting in that direction. So just keep that in mind, that it's kind of lifting up. It may end up leaving the warning area. If that motion continues, we have this kind of pulling up towards Red Chute in Shreveport. Hot, and again, we are over here, so watching that for Christie. Let me check. Just something, and that is again why, and they might have to reissue this warning up in here because the National Weather Service is taking shelter. The National Weather Service out of Shreveport has taken shelter. That's where they are right here. All right, and they are back now. The Weather Service in Shreveport has taken over operation once again, so they have deemed that they are now safe. So that is good news there, that they are back in business, the Weather Service out of Shreveport. Those men and women are awesome. Of course, they are responsible for issuing the warnings to give you the heads up, and that's what makes all the bells and whistles go. So I'm glad to see them taking over again in Shreveport. All right. We're going to be watching these guys down here also. near Mansfield. Huxley, this is what I was talking about before. Again, we are still under that tornado warning, that kind of 1-2 punch here with this first cell kind of merging now. Got that and then that. So Huxley, we are still in that tornado warning. If I have anybody tuning in and around there, don't let your guard down just yet, even though the weather seemingly seems, if that's even a phrase, a little quieter now since that first round of thunderstorms just left us. All right, so you've had another tornado warning near St. Augustine. That just was allowed to expire because everything now is out and now into that one area, getting ready to cross over into Louisiana. All right, so let's zoom back into this big purple thing. Again, as long as they still have the tag there, it's so hard to see now. The beam is just way too low. The storm is just way too close to the radar site. Oftentimes they're too far away to get a good read on what's going on inside of the storm. Now it's too close out there. If you are just joining us, welcome. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. We'll definitely be here for sure. Thank you so much for finding us, and welcome aboard. Again, we track all things weather together here, and love to hear your reports and where you're tuning in from, so please post that in the comments, as we're unfortunately tracking this multi-day severe weather event with already 2 confirmed tornadoes. With this segment of tornadoes, of course, we had some earlier this morning in Texas and Oklahoma, some big tornadoes again, if you've seen the video there. But just keep that in mind, that this is not only going to continue for the rest of tonight, this is going to continue into tomorrow and then into Thursday as well. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Tomorrow, yeah, into Thursday. And then finally, we're done with it in terms of that severe weather threat. But we have a crazy snowstorm and then in the northeast and interior New England. So we'll have videos on that coming out in the next day or so. But right now, of course, we're focused on the severe weather threat. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love to have you. Please hit the like button. It helps to get this video out to more people, or get the stream out to more people that may be in harm's way. We found a couple of people already in Louisiana that we are watching closely for. And then again, if you hit that subscribe button and the alert bell, you'll be notified when we go live or post new weather content. So again, we'd love to have you along for the ride. All right, so we have a continuation of the tornado warning here, and you just saw in real time as the Weather Service just issued this, it's now turned back to that red color, okay? And what that means is there's the potential for this storm to produce a tornado. There is not one on the ground, and that's what we were getting those reports from in real time from the National Weather Service. So again, we are still watching this closely in Houghton, in Doyline, Red Chute. The good thing is, and again, I don't wish anything on anybody, but we do have Christie here. The trend with this one has been to move, and Christie's watching from Houghton. The trend with this has been to kind of, and there is the main supercell, to lift that way. So again, we're not completely out of the woods just yet, but I do like the trends that we are seeing for Houghton. And again, it is not as healthy as it was. It's close to the radar, so I can't get a good gauge on it. But we do have a storm chaser on this one, or at least some kind of trained weather spotter that's giving us this critical information here on what this is doing, because the radar doesn't do much when it's this close in proximity to the radar site. So I want you to know that. We are going to zoom out a little bit. And it's down here. This is the area that we are really concerned with. It's down here in this area. Let me change my color of my telestrator now. This is black. It's down in that area, south of Shreveport, right along the Texas-Oklahoma border. That is where we have the biggest threat for tornadoes tonight. And that threat is expected to continue. So while we kind of have, I don't want to say a law, we have 4 tornadoes or 3 tornado warnings in effect right now. That threat is expected to ramp up even further over the next couple of hours. And I'm going to show you something here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to close out of this. If I can turn on. Okay. So I know there's a lot of flashy things just popped up on your screen. But basically what we're looking at here, and I'll highlight that for you, in this blue zone, this is where the environment is unfortunately the best for tornadoes tonight. So that's going to be south of Shreveport, again, to the north, or to the west, I should say, of Alexandria. We are going to be watching that for you over the next couple of hours. I'll turn all that junk back off now so that we can see. Even here, for us along the Arkansas border, now we're going further north. This is to the west of Haynesville, Louisiana, right around Cotton Valley. We're going to get deep into this. And it looks like here, this is completely out of the warned area. Let me just double check. It looks like the rotation is up here. So the warning, if anybody's watching from Spring Hill or right along the Arkansas-Louisiana border, the worst part of this system is north of the warning. You highlight that again. Let me turn this back to black so we can tell it right there. That's where the spin with this storm is. The warning is down here. Looks like we might have 2 little nubs there, though, of rotation. So we're going to see if they extend that warning, but still, want you to get in your safe place if you live around Spring Hill, especially to the east of that, because it's definitely spinning, that storm, and it's north of the warned area. All right, so these guys now, these 2 have kind of been joined at the hip. The one to the southwest of us in Mansfield, we'll turn on the velocity mode here. And so we can clearly see, it's not that impressive, thankfully, but obviously enough to trigger the warning. There's where we have some rotation right in here. And then also back there, with both of those cells that are moving off to the north and east. So Mansfield, we're going to be up next in this general area. And again, if you are just joining us, if you're watching us from in and around Mansfield, this is where the environment is even better than where we've already seen tornadoes touch down. Like, we've had confirmed tornadoes in and around Shreveport, just to the west and just to the southwest of Shreveport over the last hour or so since we've been live. And the environment, it's okay. It obviously had supported 2 destructive tornadoes, but it's even more primed to the south. And that is what is concerning tonight. So if you know of anybody that lives south of Shreveport, lives in Alexandria, or points to the west of Alexandria, that's where we have a tornado watch that continues while we're kind of watching these. I'm going to turn back on where exactly that watch is. You're going to see a lot of blinky things start to pop back up again. But in the yellow there, that is where we have the tornado watch. So really from south of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, down to Monroe, Louisiana, including Alexandria, Louisiana. Again, for reference, here is Lafayette, right here, Alexandria. We are included in that tornado watch. And again, the watch means that it is favorable for the development of tornadoes. Kind of we have some of the ingredients. Now you just need to put those ingredients in the oven and bake it. And unfortunately, that's what could come into play a little bit later on tonight in the areas that have been pretty quiet up until this point. Okay, so I think they just, let me get the watch back off. I think they issued a new tornado warning where we were just looking. They did. We'll go to Shreveport. And then there it was. So again, that warning. Snowing in Alabama. What part of Alabama are you tuning in from? Because it's not doing anything in Alabama. And it's way too warm in Alabama right now. Because all the rain is off to your west. And it's like in the 70s right now, or in the 50s and 60s up in Iowa. So it's definitely not snowing in Alabama. That's where it's snowing. There's where our big time blizzard is going right now. Western Minnesota through Fargo. We still have a little bit of ice in and around Aberdeen. It's mostly snow now. Rapid City getting rocked. Now up to 8 inches of snow. 8 inches of snow. That's crazy here. Look at this report. Let me zoom in and show you. This report, north of Alliance, right on the North Dakota border. The co-op observer here, the observer that's taking the observation, there are bare spots on the ground, but there are drifts that are waist deep. That is just how crazy that wind is out there. That it's able to move that snow that much to have waist deep snow, and then just next to it, you have bare spots on the ground. So just crazy. We had wind gusts out that way in the panhandle of Nebraska of 50 to 60 miles per hour reported. So we are no doubt observing blizzard conditions. Again, to have a blizzard verify, it's hard to do. You need to have 3 consecutive hours of sustained winds at about 35 miles an hour, with visibility reduced to under a quarter of a mile for those 3 consecutive hours. It does not matter about the amount of snow. It's all about the wind and the visibility for a blizzard. A lot of ice falling now northwest of the Twin Cities. Cold rain in Rochester, Minnesota, into Decorah, Iowa, down to Dubuque, Iowa, Peoria, Illinois. We have that cold rain. Springfield, Litchfield, Illinois, down to St. Louis, if everybody will be tuning in from there. And then down into Jonesboro, Arkansas, we have that cold rain. Back to where we have the worst of the weather. I'm going to turn back on the high-resolution radar, and we're going to watch a few of these cells. I don't know if Christy is still with us, but the good news is, at least in the chat here, the good news is this cell is now no longer tornado warned. It has drifted into downtown Shreveport, and it is losing its punch. We talked about how the environment's still okay for tornadic development, but it's certainly much lower than what it is south of Shreveport. It's falling. We are okay now in Shreveport. Keep watching because the severe threat isn't over for the rest of the night. You don't have to keep this on your TV, but just keep a way to have your warning with you, because we do still have all this nasty weather off towards our west. And since we did not get any bad weather, our environment isn't as stable as now what it is in Shreveport and points north. So still keep paying close attention in places like Minden, in Athens, in Houghton, in Sibley, in Ringgold, Louisiana, because our environment is still pretty good for the development of tornadoes. And of course, we are still into that tornado watch. And again, I don't want to give you that false sense of calm, if you will. I always like to be calm, and I like to give the good news. Good news in the short term. Again, that cell, again, not a threat to you and your family anymore, but that imminent threat is not over. And then the good news in Shreveport, that's awesome. I appreciate that a lot. The good news is in Shreveport that while, again, our threat isn't completely over, we've now had 2 kind of ending points of some nasty supercell thunderstorms. And the more that we kind of get rocked with that heavy rain and work our atmosphere over, the threat is a little bit lower. We're going to watch these guys, though, back off to your west that are just coming in from Texas. A lot of heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds in there. But right now that there is nothing concerning. And once we get this junk in here, so really give it another hour or so. Once that moves into your east, it's going to rain very heavily. That is going to help to really end that severe weather threat for Shreveport in points just to the east where you are. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of you. I see we have a bunch of new people on the stream. Thank you so much for finding us. Thank you for tuning in. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. And again, we track and talk all things weather. If you like keeping up to date with the weather, if you like tracking it and sending in your reports, you have come to the right place. Please hit that like button. It helps more people see this video so we can get it out to the people that may be looking for some potentially life-saving information, as we do have these tornado threat continuing. And certainly, if you'd like to be a part of this channel, we would love to have you. Please hit that subscribe button and that alert bell. We'll let you know anytime we post new content. And if you're watching from eastern Louisiana and eastern and into parts of Mississippi, into Alabama, and into the panhandle of Florida, that is where our severe weather threat goes into tomorrow. And I just turned that on for you. Places like Lafayette, early tomorrow morning into New Orleans, and then certainly as we get into the Hattiesburg, Jackson area tomorrow afternoon, Montgomery, Alabama, then we get under the gun later in the day, Mobile, Alabama, and then into the panhandle of Florida, eventually Tallahassee later into the day. As this junk here, this line of thunderstorms, I don't know why that marker, my little highlighter here, continues to get so wide sometimes. It has a mind of its own, but we're especially concerned with right in this area, that orange enhanced risk area as designated by the National Weather Service, for the best environment for tornadoes tomorrow. And again, that's that level 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale tomorrow. So we are not just done tonight. In real time, it looks like we do have somewhat of an improvement in western Louisiana. It appears now we just have, not just, I'm going to be clear, not just one tornado warning back into play, but we've at least seen some things pipe down just a little bit. So that's some good news there. Mansfield, though, we are watching this closely for you. I am going to turn... No, wait, we have 2 people from Houghton. Hey, Haley, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. So that's good to be watching. That's awesome that 2 people from Houghton found the live stream tonight. And I am glad that, at least in the short term here, our threat is very, very low. But it's not over yet. So I do want to be clear about that too. But thank you for tuning in to the live stream tonight. The worst of the weather now that we are tracking is in and around Mansfield. I'm going to go back to the high resolution radar now and go do some analysis on this. So this is not good for Mansfield. If you know of anybody just down the road in Mansfield, let them know. We have that tornado vortex signature coming up. That is right in here. The red is the wind going towards the radar. The green, let me redraw that because I had the circle. The red is the air moving away from the radar. The green is the air moving towards the radar. That is the circulation right in here. So that's where the tornado would be, right in here. and then moving up towards Mansfield. Now, we don't have a confirmation that we have a tornado on the ground. Doesn't matter. We're still in that tornado warning. We need to take it seriously. Again, there is decent rotation here. And as we just talked about, this is where the environment is the best for tornadic development over the next couple of hours. So just keep that in mind as we watch in and around Mansfield. I'm going to check some other things. The good news is, and again, I use good news lightly, I'm not seeing a tornado debris signature pop back up. I'm not seeing anything like that at this time, but we are still under an active tornado warning, so I want you to be aware of that in Mansfield. We're going to watch that closely. Things are still behaving nicely at this time in and around Shreveport. We do have nasty thunderstorms rolling down I-20. Nothing is severe, though. There's nothing damaging, so I want you to know that. We are still in that tornado watch until later tonight. I believe it is 10 o'clock local time. That's another about 3.5 hours. Really, though, as we get rid of this junk here, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely no snow in Alabama right now, so I don't know what that person was talking about. But don't worry, there's no snow in Alabama. If we had snow in Alabama right now, that'd be crazy because we have severe weather on the other side. I do think, I won't put snow out of the question later in December or early January in parts of the Deep South. In my winter outlook, I talked about that. And in the White Christmas forecast, we talked a little bit about that as well, that this week in the middle of December was going to be the start of a very active stretch across the country. We are certainly seeing it start with a bang, and it might go out with a bang as well. Let's just keep the severe weather away. Can we agree on that? Because nobody likes that. You can deal with snow, unless it is intense as what we're seeing in the northern plains right now, because we have a crazy, crazy blizzard that does continue in the short term. So just to look at this again, this tornado warning is in effect for another 45 minutes. This was just reissued by the National Weather Service. I am going to all right, so just for the people that were with us as this storm that was going through Kichi, that was right up in here. There it is. There's the storm report. Again, comes in real time. Unfortunately, we had mobile homes completely destroyed just northwest of Four Forks. And a forest was mowed down in that area as well. So it does look like a significant tornado went through Mansfield at about 40 minutes ago. We were tracking that live for Kichi, and that was going to be this cell here that is now up in Shreveport. That was the one where we were talking about the tornado was on the ground, that purple warning area. So unfortunately, while it was on the ground, it did hit mobile homes, completely destroyed. So thinking about them tonight and hoping that they were at least in some kind of tornado shelter, because that's completely destroyed there. Those are become unsurvivable if they are hit from a tornado. So we are hoping for the best and saying some prayers. In Kichi tonight, because that's some ugly damage, and we are hoping that nobody was either in those homes or they were at least in the storm shelter. And hopefully there was a storm shelter on property. A lot of times they do have the storm shelter there, but hopefully people were taking advantage of the warnings, the early warnings on these things, and getting to a safe place. So we are certainly watching and thinking of them. Want to point out here that we did just have a reissuance here in Mansfield. This is now going to go until 6 o'clock Central Time. The storm looks like it is trying to revamp itself in and around Mansfield. We looked at, yeah, so this is now really not good. We looked at this literally a couple minutes ago. It looked a little impressive, but not as impressive as it did now. What I am going to do is we're going to look at a bunch of different things and kind of dissect this. Again, this is Mansfield, Louisiana. I hope that there is nothing on the ground right now because this is ugly, but it has that look. This is the supercell, pretty much right over South Mansfield. There is where the strong rotation is. Let's see. Okay, this is what we don't want to see. It looks like there is a tornado on the ground. We're likely going to get an update and have this purple, but I can confirm this for you that it is on the ground right here. Because of the radar technology, you see that yellow color here. Let me turn my telestration back a different color. In and around Mansfield, unfortunately, again, you see that brighter yellow, brighter green pop up. It's the dropout of the correlation coefficient. It means the radar is seeing things of different shapes and sizes. That is debris. So unfortunately, we do have a tornado debris signature going through Mansfield right now. So say some prayers for those people, as that is a tornado on the ground. And again, we're likely going to see that turn purple. Let me check out the National Weather Service chat here. It's a new tornado warning coming for DeSoto. That was already issued and in effect. So not good news. They were waiting to see if they do upgrade that to a tornado on the ground. I don't see it have gone purple yet, but I mean it should be. That's a tornado debris signature. And it has that look. It's got everything. It's got great rotation. Again, we've kind of range folded that too. That is kind of maxed out the scale. I'll bring the telestration back again. Again, this is the wind blowing away from the radar. This is the wind blowing towards the radar. There is the circulation that we have right there. Dropping back out again. So again, Mansfield, this is right on top of us. Further down the line, Ringgold at about 611. Jamestown at about 616. And you'll notice, again, the times are in Eastern time, so we're subtracting an hour again to get it back to local time. Jamestown, we're at 616. And 621 in Heflin. That's way down the line. We're not in the tornado warning in Heflin, but this thing does have the potential to stay with us over the next several hours, or at least until it gets to us beyond where the warning is already there. So let me bring back the reflectivity. Let me check in with the National Weather Service chat. They're still not saying it's confirmed, but it certainly looks like it, judging by the look on radar. Let me just go around a different radar site, see if we can find. I mean, that's the closest radar site we're seeing right down there. Correlation coefficient. Again, we're seeing the dropout there, and hopefully we don't want to see this any brighter, because also it could pick up dust or dirt or anything like that too. But I mean, we're right in a town. Look at another radar product real quick just to kind of see what is going on in there. I mean, it has that look. Could just be maybe as well that we're kind of seeing it kick up some dirt. There must be a storm chaser on that as well. So we are thinking about that, and we're looking into there as well. But right now, no confirmation of a tornado, but it looks very, very. It looks like it is. If there's not one on the ground, it is going to be very, very close. That this tornado touches down. It's in a environment for that as well, but we're going to be watching that closely. So again, heads up in Mansfield. This is going to be heading in your direction. I mean, it's on top of you. So this is going to be Interstate 49. If you know anybody that lives in around Interstate 49, let them know. And I know I-49 is big. Here is, I'm going to put on a tracker for you. All right, before I do that, actually, we're going to inspect this again. We just got a fresh new radar scan. You saw that update there. So we're going to get into this. It certainly does not look as healthy. From a velocity perspective, nothing has changed, but it does take a second for the velocity to go. So it does look like, again, any kind of debris signature that was there is not there anymore. So some good news maybe up towards I-49. These things are booking, but I need... They still have a very, very tight couplet there in and around Mansfield, although it looks like we're lagging on the velocity product updating with us right there, but maybe that threat is winding down in Mansfield. Yeah, it certainly looks a little more strung out from the radar perspective there, so that is some good news. Again, when I say good news, I use that lightly. Okay, so I'm not seeing a debris signature there. We're still seeing that, but there we go. There we go. That's the update that I was waiting for. It just happened in real time. It's a sign that it broadened out the rotation. You saw how it was really bright and really tight together. Now it's a little more broad. So we don't have the tornado vortex signature anymore. That's a good thing. Right in there. So that's something, again, that we are going to watch closely over the next couple of minutes in Mansfield. We are at a nice, relatively speaking, quiet part. That tornado looks like it is falling apart. I think what I'm going to do is I want to hop off here for just a little bit, catch my breath here, get some bearing here on what the severe weather situation is going to look like. I'm going to dissect the environment a little bit, and then I'm going to hop back on here again as the next round of tornado warnings pop again. We still have an active tornado warning in and around Mansfield. It's a little less threatening than it was just even 5 or 10 minutes ago. Okay, so in and around Mansfield, I'm going to put one more little timer on here for you. That's what I was going to do before that new one came in. And then again, they're moving at about 45 miles an hour. So again, Hall Summit, heads up to you guys, at about 617, Ringgold at about 626, Castor at about 630, and then Jamestown also at about 630 if it holds together and remains on this current path. And actually, let me redraw that real quick, because the worst part of the storm is right up in here already. So just keep that in mind. As these kind of move off towards the north and east. Alrighty, guys. I'm going to step away for a little bit, catch my breath for a second, since the threat is winding down just a smidge. Northeast of Mansfield, right along I-49. Pay close attention. Keep your phone nearby. Make sure that you are tuning into your local news as well to get these updates in real time. I am going to dissect this environment, bring up a bunch of extra stuff here, and we're going to come back on here as these next round of warning. Hopefully they don't pop up again. I would love that. But what I want to say real quick, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for trusting me to deliver this for you here as we are watching these unfortunate tornadoes. I will let you know if I hear anything more from where those confirmed tornadoes went through and did cause damage. I'm going to be watching this closely here. And again, we're going to hop back on as needed. Thank you guys so much. If you found this informative, please give this video a thumbs up. It will get out to more people to alert them of the weather situation. And if you like tracking and talking about the weather, we would love to have you on board in this weather community. Please hit that subscribe button. And again, hopefully I don't see you tonight. I'd love to talk to you, but hopefully we don't have to deal with any more severe weather. That is, again, me wish casting. I do think we are going to see more severe weather pop up over the next few hours. The environment continues to get a little more primed, but again, one can wish. Again, the severe weather threat also continues tomorrow and into Thursday. And if you're watching from the Dakotas, stay off the roads. I know I-90 is closed, at least partially of the way, getting into Wyoming. It's crazy up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, hit the like button, subscribe. I will catch you soon. Thank you guys so much.